Is there anything to talk about? I'm sure I can come up with something. Let's do it. Kicking this off with number one, the pressure, which is what I believe Tom Telesco is undoubtedly feeling right now. Just kind of look at the moves. Contract restructures with many of the bigger names on the team, kicking the can down the road into 24 in many instances. And boy, when you're talking about the Chargers being willing to take on potential dead money next season, to me, that signals a guy that feels like, hey, I'm just going to push all my chips in. And if it doesn't work out, doesn't matter. It's not my problem to deal with. I'll be out of here. And look, to be completely honest with you, I don't even know what Telesco's situation is right now, because I thought his contract was up after last season. But they probably did another one of those backdoor things where they give him a 1-year extension. You find out about it somewhere towards the beginning of the season, whatever. But Tommy's definitely feeling the heat. These moves this year are not the same as last offseason. I don't think you can compare those. That was more about getting Staley the pieces that he needed to properly run his defense. That didn't necessarily work out. There are some reasons for that aren't just all about on-field lack of production, but we're not going to explore that any further. Tommy, the clock is clearly ticking, and I think you know it now, so I guess that explains everything we're seeing. On to the Doski Woski. Great clips. Matt Filer's still on the roster, which isn't saying a ton. They could still let him go. I'm leaning towards them actually doing so because it'll free up another, $6.5-7 million in space. There's really no need to explain why that's a necessity. We all saw how Matt played last year, very up and down, mainly down. Older guy. Probably time to get an infusion of young talent there. You already have next in line with Jamari Sawyer. If he ends up moving into left guard and they re-sign Trey Pipkins or whatever it is they decide to do at right tackle. But personally, I only feel that he's sticking around for the time being because they're not quite sure what's going to happen to Trey Pipkins. The tackle market's starting to take shape here a little bit. You've seen some guys get some nice paydays, and if Pipkins ends up pricing himself off of the Chargers roster, then this kind of is what it is. You got to go to plan B. But listen, I don't envision that Pipkins goes anywhere, so Filer's probably kicking rocks here soon. We know that Trey is Tom Telesco's pet project. He is the third rounder that's going to prove everyone wrong about Tom's selections. And it's finally going to pay off. And it's one of those vindication things. The guy worked out. He played some solid ball here and there. Still pretty uneven. Last season, he battled like a warrior through some injuries. And so it gives Tom every reason to give the dude a nice little payday. I have my own personal thoughts about it, but we'll save that for another time. Just know that I still feel like Matt's going to be gone. Trey's probably going to be back, and so on and so forth. But what else is new? It's not exactly the most exciting part of the Chargers off season, but probably one of the things you can count on. Now, this is when things get interesting. Number 3, poker face. Drew Tranquill's out there testing the market, and can you blame him? You see Quincy Williams from the Jets out there getting a 3-year, $21 million deal with $9 million guaranteed. Drew's probably seeing little dollar signs dancing around in his head at night. And while I understand that, what I'm sure he also gets is that this is a very saturated linebacker market. He probably falls somewhere in the middle there, upper middle tier of the guys that are remaining. His numbers compare very favorably with many of the others. And Drew's still youngish, so there should be some opportunity out there for him, right? But I'll tell you what this is really about. I don't think Drew wants to leave the Chargers at all. I think Drew's playing his personal elaborate game of poker, chess, whatever you want to call it. Well, at least maybe he thinks it's elaborate. But I feel like he has, or at least he believes himself to have a little bit of leverage. Because Chargers didn't pick up Kenneth Murray's fifth-year option, and I think at that point Drew knew exactly what he was going to do, because hey, they don't value him because they're not sure about how he's going to perform moving forward. Then here's my opportunity, and he's trying to make the most of it, and I don't blame him. Now ultimately, because of some of the numbers that are coming out here, he could very well get priced out of the Chargers range, and that would leave them in a very precarious situation. Let him walk could mean some other things in free agency, give you some other draft implications. They could go inside linebacker a little bit higher than what they traditionally would. Also explains the Bobby Wagner talk. But hey, Drew, I hope it works out for you one way or another, my man. And this feels very Kaiser White-ish, kind of, sort of, but we'll see how it turns out. We're all waiting with bated breath. So, And while we're on the topic of people looking to get that bread, Stevie J voice. Number 4, 30 ways to get paid. Yeah. Before I sat down to record this, didn't exactly expect news to come out that Austin Ekeler would be looking for a trade. I thought that he might be an option for an extension, which, if you're in the Discord, there's some information that was dropped in there about how things came to be, how we got to this point. Feel free to go back and take a look at that. If you're not a part of it, you should be. Lots of cool stuff going on in there. But I digress. A 28-year-old running back that has scored almost 40 touchdowns in the last 2 seasons. So, caveat to that. But at the end of the day, the Chargers playing hardball here make a ton of sense. You got a guy who's nearing for what ends up for most running backs being the tail end of their prime, aren't trying to pigeonhole themselves in a situation where they're paying a significant amount of money to what in running back years is an aging player. Do I want to see Eck go? Nah. If they were to get rid of him, trade him, would I understand? Absolutely. Smart football. Especially when you look at the fact that you took a running back in the 4th round who I am still a big fan of, and hopefully that means you get to see a little bit more of next year. I don't understand why you wouldn't. I definitely would not feel comfortable with Josh Kelly as my number 1. So you're looking at a situation where either you're getting another free agent, cheaper option coming in, or for everybody looking for Bijan Robinson in the 1st round, which I still don't believe they do, but you can't put it past the Chargers because they've shown that they will absolutely do it. You're looking at a situation where they could draft a running back, and it feels like they do it almost every year, but at some point, you gotta knock it out of the park, I guess. And they're just gonna keep swinging until they do. Maybe. We'll see. But he requested a trade. Doesn't mean that the Chargers are actually going to grant him the opportunity to go see what he could get for what team, but I think they should. I mean, it would suck to watch him leave, but we're thankful for everything he's been to the team. Undrafted free agent that, we just didn't see becoming what he did. Now, I said this somewhere earlier, but isn't this ironic? In the span of about 2 or 3 months, you could have seen Melvin Gordon win a championship ring on a team where he did not participate as an active player on game days. And Austin Eckler's last appearance as a Charger could have come in a 27-point blown lead in the playoffs. And that is some weird, wild, disgusting irony there. Because the guy that deserves it wouldn't have gotten it, while the one who did basically nothing gets a free one. Cool. Anyway, before I get flustered, frustrated, and punch a hole in something, I'm going to end this one and go to the next. So, thanks. Number 5, personal for me. Calling this one 10 toes down. It's because I'm planting my flag. Well, I'm doing it here on the 5 ski because I've done it everywhere else, whether it's on Twitter, in the Discord. Y'all know who my guys are in this draft. From an offensive standpoint, So we're speaking on the offensive focus here. Defensively, there's some stuff that I'm cool with happening, but really, this team needs to go offense for me this offseason. There needs to be an emphasis on that. Zay Flowers, as you guys have all know, I might be the first person you saw touting him. See that tweet? That's right. December 2021. That's when it started for me. And Darnell Washington, which probably kicked off somewhere past the midway point of the college season. Just watching somebody in that frame move the way that he does just seemed like the perfect fit for me in the Chargers offense, because you have a coach that claimed that he wants to be a line of scrimmage team. And it don't get any more line of scrimmage dominant than 6'7", 270 pounds, running a 4.64, and apparently very nimble based on, that was either what, short shuttle 3-cone, whatever that was, where he was second behind Jackson, Smith, and Jigba, which is insane. That still blows my freaking mind. Forget all the other underwear Olympic stuff. The one-handed catch, that was tremendous also, but great. Take all that stuff with a grain of salt. You want to be a physical team. You want to move people around. You want to impose your will. You go get a dude like that. Is he worth a first round draft pick? In my estimation at this point, I mean, I felt like this for a while. I thought maybe he'd get pushed down the board because I wasn't sure how he was going to test all that well athletically. But yeah, there's no question about it at this point. Absolutely. Because you're talking about, from the second he steps on the field, he's probably a top 3 to 5 blocking tight end in the NFL. And like you keep hearing over and over again, it's essentially like having an additional offensive lineman, except this one can run routes and catch passes and, you know, can be your quarterback's best friend in a multitude of ways. And he gives away nothing offensively. You can line him up anywhere and teams won't know what the hell to do. You can have him as your traditional Y. You can put him in a slot. Probably do a little H for you as well. But that's a weapon. And I don't think a later first round pick on someone that you can use in a myriad of ways offensively is a reach. Not to me. Especially when there's nothing else in the league like him. If you think there's no other Bijan Johnsons, and you see how rare he is at the running back position, and then you feel like there's a tremendous drop off, you can look at Darnell Washington just from a physical standpoint and what he could be as a receiver, because the chops are there. I mean, he was number 2 tight end behind a dude that's going to be a first round draft pick when he comes out. So he was utilized differently at Georgia, but you can see it all there. You can develop that into something that can be the top of the league, possibly all-time great at his position. Do you want to be the team that missed out on that when it was staring you in your face? I would rather not have that be the case. But I profess my love enough here. Just wanted to go ahead and put that out there just so y'all know officially how I felt about it, if I hadn't made that clear already. But that's the deal. Anyway, enough of my rambling. I appreciate y'all for joining me here for another 5 of them things for your head top. Till the next one, it's been me. You've been you. And again, I do appreciate you. Till the next time, y'all take it easy. I'm gone.